the part two of our understanding Microsoft Fabric, the basics, pipelines, and architectural decision. We could not complete the class last week, Saturday, because of time. And lesson also tried to touch on the basics. That was why, so that was what took away our time so much last week. So today will be a completion and it will be all demo. And we're also trying to keep to time so that we spend exactly less than 1 hour before, so that Blessing can also go and do whatever she has planned for the day. Thank you very much, guys. Blessing, you have the floor now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you once again for having me, Benga. It's been a pleasure being with the team last week. So let's quickly have the full demo of our entire conversation last week. So just quickly go over the full case study as we spoke about last class. So the business scenario is very simple. A company stores its transactional data in Snowflake. Every morning before business opens, the leadership reviews the previous day's sales via a Power BI report that refreshes at 6 a.m. The goal: build an automated pipeline in Microsoft Fabric that pulls data from Snowflake every day at 6 p.m., transforms it through bronze silver layers, loads it into a warehouse for reporting, so that by 6 a.m. the next morning, the Power BI report reflects yesterday's sale. I know we already established last week why or what should be what. How do we want to get the data from Snowflake into Microsoft Fabric? We had a discussion as to should it be mirroring or should we copy the data? We established that for our case study, being we want to load the data from Snowflake every day, the best approach is to copy it and not mirror, because when you mirroring by default, you have CDC enabled. So we don't want to go through that route because that's not what, and it will be more costly for the organization to run as opposed to loading our data once a day via the copy data activity. One other thing we discussed on is, what storage layer should it get to when it comes into Fabric? We established why it should be a lake house, right? So I'm skipping all of these tiny details because I believe we looked at them in depthly last class. And today we'll just go straight into the demo. At any point I have a question, please do well to call my attention to it or draw me back. I hope that's very much clear. So another thing we didn't look at yet last week that I wanted us to look at is, even if we need the reports by 6 a.m., what time should we run the pipeline to be? Let's not forget that the report is from the previous day's sale, not that very day's sale, right? What time should we work on that? So we can either choose to run it at the end of sale. Let's assume the business closes at 6 p.m. every day. It's not a problem to automate our pipeline to run 6 p.m. that day, and the dashboard refreshes 6 a.m. the following day. Anyone who wants to chip into that conversation as to why we can have that? I already have the details on my screen, but left for time factor, let me quickly talk about it. So for the coupling one, we don't want the pipeline to finish run and immediately the Power BI dashboard is speaking from it, right? So basically, we're trying to give the pipeline a 12-hour buffer before the 6 a.m. reports. The pipeline has plenty of time for the job to run. We try on failure and alert the team if something goes wrong. So the engineering team basically have a 12-hour window to ensure the pipeline is up and running, because anything can happen, right? There's a reason why an engineering team exists. There's a reason why the concept of maintaining pipelines exists. Anything might have gone wrong with the pipeline on a particular day. So since the concept or our business scenario allows for a single day refresh and it's just the previous day report you're getting. We can as well have a very good buffer window, right? So if the pipeline fails at 6 p.m., the team has an entire evening to investigate and we run the pipeline before the leadership checks the report at 6 a.m. So there is what they call a freshness window. Please, any question or anyone who has an opinion as to, or a contrary opinion or a question to further buttress what we've been talking about the past 5-6 minutes. Who are those we have on the call? Is there anyone who is on this call now that was on the call last week?
Yeah,
Please, if
I
you're on
was
the
on the
call.
call last week.
All right, thank you. Lajide, anyone else? Okay, it's fine. Please do well to get back to the recording from last week so you're not entirely lost as to where we are at. So this is what the full implementation architecture is like. We have our Snowflake, that's where our transaction data is. Then copy activity, the type of plan we'll be using, ingesting our data at 6 p.m. daily. Data from Snowflake lands in Lakehouse, which will serve as our bronze layer. Our raw data lands here as delta tables. Notebook activity. This is where our transformation comes. So we have a notebook where we do our transformation and send the data back to silver layer. All right, same Lakehouse. Then we also have our data in warehouse where with our analysis or our Power BI reports connect to. Is there anything that here that is not clear? This is exactly what we have. Now we'll come here and we'll pick it up from here. All right. I'm going to be creating a new workspace. I'll just name this Winnipeg Power BI Group. I'll name this Winnipeg Power. No, Winnipeg User Group, sorry. User Group. We created a domain last week, and I hope you still recall this domain. So this will be under the Winnipeg domain using the Fabric trial account as a capacity. I'm sure we all remember when we discussed on of this, and I'll just apply. Just use this. I don't need. All right. So this is our workspace. Based on our architecture, we've identified we need what? A lake house, right? A warehouse. What other fabric item would you be needing? Anyone? But why do we even need a workspace in the first place? From the last class, we talked about this. Anyone wants to give a comment around that? I've only heard myself for the past 10 minutes. Anyone next 30 seconds or next 5-10 seconds want to just why we need a workspace and why we have to attach it to a domain, what domain is doing or what domain is acting as for us. Hello. Hi, Fumi, were you in Fumi of Faith? Hi, Fumi, were you in the class last week? Did you attend last week webinar?
Hi, Blessing. Yes, I did.
All right, thank you. Please, do you want to please explain to us why we need a workspace and the reason why we have to attach it to a domain? Anyone can bail for me out if Fumi doesn't want. Right.
Okay. Can I try?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the workspace is actually like our secure project environment. So
Okay.
that is where our data solution is going to live, and that's where it's going to run. Then the reason why we need to attach it to a domain is because of for security. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, basically, and to also manage the resource like the compute and all of that. So
All right.
that is why
Thank
we need
you.
the workspace. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we need a workspace like a container for our fabric, is a container for our fabric items, and we need a domain just to clearly outline things. If you recall the illustration we had last week, where I talked about having a smart house and you having three, or is that a 3 or 4 story building, you outline, oh, the ground floor will be for your guests, the first floor for your children, the second floor, basically compartmentalizing everything, if that makes sense. So that's what we use our domain for. But can your workspace exist without a domain? Certainly. But if you have a domain, you just basically for that put, like, for example, now creating this domain, Winnipeg, I can tell everything I have under this domain is for Winnipeg user group. Just makes a whole lot of sense and makes it easy for you to identify what is in what container. Thank you for that. Okay, based on our architecture, what are the fabric items we'll be needing? We'll be needing a pipeline, right? So I want to create all my fabric items first. We're needing a pipeline. We'll be needing a lake house. We're needing a warehouse. We're needing what again, please? A notebook. A notebook. Yes. Lake house, warehouse, a notebook, a pipeline. All right, so now please let's quickly go down to we come down to Microsoft Fabric and we'll start creating each of these that we've clearly listed out. Have I lost anyone? All right, so let's quickly start our creation. Creating a lake house. So I'll name this exactly Fabric user group. So I'll name this Winnipeg. Is what did we identify or state that we'll be using our lake house to do? The lake house schema will create this. I'll come back to my workspace again. Winnipeg user group. I'll create another item, a warehouse. Winnipeg, excuse me, warehouse. What's the third fabric item we need to create? Okay, notebook and pipeline. I'll quickly create a notebook first. Notebook. Now name it Winnipeg. Winnipeg notebook. I'll create. So ideally, my notebook is supposed to pick from my lake house. Winnipeg Lake House. Please, do we still recall last week explanation? The reason why I'm having to do all of this immediately is because we've discussed all of this in detail. How our data is landing to our lake house first. Now I'm connecting my notebook to my lake house because My lakehouse will be picking from the data in my notebook will be picking from data in the lakehouse to transform. Hence why I'm connecting this notebook to what? Lakehouse. I'll do it again. Add data item from one lake catalog. You can see the lakehouse I had created under Winnipeg user group. That was what I picked. This is under location entirely. This was basically the old demo and test I had to do. So this is what we have. I hope you still understand. If you need to fall back to your work to probably do a revision, please do well to start from the previous week's recordings. Everything makes sense and it's all holistic to you. All right, so lake house, whereas notebook, the next or the last item we need to create according to our architecture is what? A pipeline. I'll name this Winnipeg pipeline. Okay. Right. And I'll create this. Is there any questions so far? I'll click here on my activity, then copy data. Let me come back to. Is there any questions so far?
None for now, for my own side.
All right, thank you. So the next thing we'll do after creating, again, is always best practice whenever I get to do this. After I state the items I need, the next thing I'll talk about is parameter and variable. The next thing I want to identify is parameter and variable. So basically, I look at my pipeline. Is there anything I'll love to parameterize? Like, is there anything I'll need to do over and over again that would save me? That I would just put in a parameter and have to just call that over and over again without having to do it manually. For example, let me give us a backstory. What we have in our data source, the transaction table on Snowflake, we have 4 tables. So that means I'll have to migrate or copy 4 tables into Microsoft Fabric. I don't want to have to repeat manual process for each of the table. So I'll need to parameterize some things. Basically, the environment, lake house name, warehouse name, since they're all going into the same lake house, the same warehouse, and they're all going to be under the same environment, which is our production environment. One very important detail, again, based on our case study, is the dates, right? I'll be using the dates while working on my scheduling, right? And it's the same date for the 4 tables, the same time, because they are all working together. Even if there are 4 tables, they are all one architecture. So one thing I would first of all do is the date. That is one of my very important parameter, the environment, the lake house, and warehouse. So I'll come here, my parameters first. Let me call it load date. Please, let's ask questions if need be. If anything is getting confusing for you, please do well to ask me. Let's clarify it already. Okay, so for this particular date, I don't want to just put in the values. I'm going to do something and you would see it. I want to show you how this is still coming up.
So sorry, Blessing.
Yes,
the parameters, what are we using it for per se, please? Sorry, can you?
Okay. So I'm loading 4 tables from Snowflake, and I don't want to have to put
Have
all of
different
those.
copy activity, right?
I'm going to have different copy activity, but I don't want all processes to be manual. Some of the things will be automated. Once I have my parameter this way, and I'll attach it to a variable. Basically, I'll attach all my parameters to a variable, so all my copy activity will pick from that variable.
Yeah.
So more like, my load dates, the default value of my dates, the default value of my lake house, my warehouse, and what other important detail would you be needing? And my environment, say production environment, basically. So the variable I'll be creating afterwards from these parameters, a variable will just be like the name housing the parameters. All my copy activity will be picking from the variable. I don't have to do all of this for every copy activity. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
All right. So there is okay, I'm going to show you how you can get the different default values we have for each parameters when we start working on. Please remind me that I talk about how to get it. But now I want to put a format as how I want my dates. So I want my dates in a particular format. Given I need the daily transaction for what I need, it's not about hour, it's basically by day. I would want my list time to be day. For example, we have the year, month, day, hour, minutes, seconds. Based on my architecture, my run is daily, it's not hourly. So I don't need the information about the hour or this thing. So I'm going to format my work. Again, I'm going to show you how to get this. So format date time. Format date time. Just be UTC now, comma. So y, that is the year, the month, and the day. This is how I want my data basically be like. I'm going to show you how to get this again. Just please remind me. So the next parameter is my environment. My environment is also string.
Oh, blessing.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I've been raising up my hand. So I wanted to ask a question. So your load dates and the environment. So you're talking about the grains. So basically, are these your control for the copy data pipeline? These parameters, are you declaring them to serve as a control for your pipeline?
I don't want to call it a control because there are other, based on data movement, there are 3 categories. There is data movement, there is data transformation, and there's another one that they call control flow. So this does not exactly fall under that category. But if you're using control in literal terms, right, in the way you understand control as an English language, right? So yeah, you can say you're using this to control.
Or would you just say audits?
Exactly. So now I'm saying, my dates. This is how I want. This is the format I want it.
Okay.
Oh, thank God,
Thank
I
you.
have a mistake here. Do you understand? Yeah. If you recall last week, I mentioned that for data pipeline, there are 3 categories: data movement, data transformation, and the control flow. For this now, I'm saying my environment is what? Production. Another parameter, I'm saying my lake house. So let me say lake house name, basically. Lake house name is what I name the Winnipeg underscore lake house. I'm saying my warehouse name. My warehouse name is what? Winnipeg underscore. Don't forget I created all of this before I started. Do you recall? Created my lake house, created my warehouse before we started all
Yes,
of
when you
this.
were after creating the workspace.
Thank you. Thank you. So there are different data type you would see here, but this is obviously a string, and this as well is a string. You can see there is no date time, and you can see that the format I even want it is in quotes. So the best, based on the different kind of data type we have, is categorizing your data as a string. You have int, float, bool, array, object, secure string. So far, are we good? Okay.
Yes, so
I'll,
it's going
all
good.
right. Thank you. Then the variable, now I want to give it a parameter, a variable name. Let me just name this vload dates, because we are loading from Snowflake into this by dates, right? Are we good?
Yes, the flow
Hope you
is
can see my screen.
Yes, I'm good. So your screen just went off.
your screen it goes off once in a while, just blank out right, but surely come back.
I'm not putting on my video today, so my internet will be great. And I tried using this, but don't worry. If it goes off for a long time, please let me know. I don't know what MTN and IHS are doing of late. I think it's everywhere, not just for me right now in Lagos, Nigeria. Or here. That's fine. Please, do we understand what we've just done here? So now I'm done with this. What I want to now do is set a variable parameter. So I'll come here and I'll set variable. And look at the pipeline variable that we created. Again, I'll take us back to what we had. I've defined these parameters, right? Giving them the you can see name, type, default value, right? This are default value, and I'm saying, oh, for my dates, I want the least time this reward day. I don't need the minute, hour, second, because if you just leave it as UTC now, it will give you the full date, even up to time. I don't need all of that. For environment, default reproduction, lake house, this should be the default. For warehouse, this should be the default warehouse. So all of these parameters, I've given it a name, vload dates, right? Now I'm setting a variable, like I now want to bring up a variable and set this up. So I'll just come here and do this. Let me put it as set load date. And I set in is a pipeline variable. And what is the name? Load date. So this is what I was going to show us as to how I got the format date. So I'll click on this add dynamic content. So when I click on my add dynamic content, I can see the different parameters are created: environment, lake house, warehouse. Let me clear everything first. Clear content, because as I click on it, that's tweet. When I click on it, it adds extra to it. Doesn't delete what you have. So keep all of that. So for your functions, this enables you to see the functions you can create based on what you have. So what I did was format date time. That was the function I used earlier. So I was going to show you how to use it. So if I click on this, you'll see at format date time, then you would put in your date time and all. I don't know if this is clear. So this is where you can see all your functions outside of your documentation. If you don't want to go outside your documentation, you can always see your functions here. There is date function, there is conversion function, you can use the concat. But for this, what I came here to do was to basically, for my load dates, unparameterized, I want to basically add this value to it. So pipeline, parameters, load dates, and it picks all the parameter that I have, the 4 parameters. So I'll click on OK. And this is my variable value. Please, are we good? This is really not hard. That's all. That's that about that, honestly. But don't parameterizing what we need. So now I can confidently pick this and know that, oh, we're covered. Okay, I really want to be out. I really want us to finish this ASAP. We're almost done. It's really simple. Now, after we're done setting our variable and we have this, we'll now start with our different copy activities. Last week, I showed us how to connect to Snowflake. So I have my Snowflake connection already. Because if I had to do that on the call again, it's going to take time. So connecting to Snowflake is not an issue at all. Revert back to the ending of last week's class or last week's webinar, you would see how to connect to Snowflake. So for my copy activity, the first one I'm going to do is there are 4 tables, right? Okay, let me just show you. So these are the 4 tables I want to bring up: customer, product, sales, and others. Those are the 4 tables I want to bring into Microsoft Fabric. And you can see that database name is AdventureWorks, and this is what I have. So I'll come here. The first one, I should let me bring in product. I'll do copy underscore products. Product. I'll come to my source connection. So you can see Snowflake Computing had connected to it already. Then database name, this is still loading. Now, knowing fully well that I have 4 tables, I can keep bringing in my copy activity. Hard copy data activity. Now, because the tables are not dependent on each other, I want them to run in parallel. So nothing is affecting what. I'll come here, I'll click on this as well. Let it keep connecting. I'll come back to my copy products. This should have finished loading. So my database is AdventureWorks. My table is, okay, this is still loading. I'll come back here. Let me name this copy sales. So copy sales. I'll come back here. Now I'm just doing all of this so I can buy time, right? Can wait, get everything you need to get. So table. Now, if you know you want to write a query, you don't want to return everything you have in that from your source file, you can always write a query where you select the columns you need, right? But I just want to bring what I have as is from my source. So I'm working, this is copy product. So you can see DBT Adventure Works Dimension product. This is what I have. Then my destination.
Hello, blessing.
Yes, please.
I have a
Olajide.
question.
Yes, please.
So the data from your Adventure Works table,
Yeah.
are they your OLTP data from the store?
Yes, they are my OLTP data.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You think I mentioned this here? I said a company stores its transactional data in Snowflake. So your
Thank you for
transactional data
pointing
is
out
what
that.
you have.
Yeah,
Sorry?
thank you. I said thank you for pointing out that.
Yes, you're
Yeah,
welcome. So your
thank you.
OLTP data you have there. So if you don't need everything in your OLTP data, or in most cases you would not actually need it. Just at this source level, just use
Do a
query
query.
and
Yeah,
just write out explicitly the columns you need to bring in. Do you
yeah.
understand?
Yeah,
So
thank
that's
you.
how you can bring that
Well,
in.
well understood. Well
Yeah.
understood.
Then at destination level, obviously that will be this lake house. We've created a lake house, Winnipeg Lake House. Can you see how we're just coming to click down here, what we created, right? Don't forget that because we've done our set variable, we've done the default lake house. We set everything. So it's just very easy. We'll come in here again. Now, no table yet at the source level, so we can enter this manually. Can give it a schema. I'll give it
Sorry,
test.
source or destination?
Sorry, destination. Sorry, there is no table yet at the destination level, right? So I have to enter this manually. So enter manually, and I'll name this products. Just product as the table. This is schema. I'm going to create a new schema test. And the table name at destination level to just be product. So I have that, and let's overwrite. At initial load is just very important you put overwrite, even if you know there is nothing there. But initial load, choose the overwrite function. You can come here and see any other thing you need to see. So that's all basically. You can have a preview of your source data. If you're unsure if the test is correct, you can also click on your test connection to retest what you have. So I do a preview here and I go here and I run my query. You would see I have exactly the same data. Okay, now this is taking time. All right, and see what you have. So this is a preview of your data. Then at this, now you're good with this. You come down to sale. I'll click on adventure works again. This is sales, right? I'll come here. So while this is loading, I still need to bring in 2 more data. So add copy data activity. Okay, I know I still have orders and customers to do. Okay, let me name this orders. Orders. What I have. While this is loading, I'll just bring in this. I'll just bring in the last job activity I'll be needing. So I'll take all this down. So there's a reason why I'm putting all this down, because you can see that each of the tables are not dependent on each other. Customers, not mistaken. I'm not mistaken. That should be customer without the S. That does not mean though, that's my own description. I'd rather just have everything. So I'll come here, I'll check again. Sales, I'll pick the table. So this is sales. Like we established, if you don't want the entire columns from the table, write a query and just select the exact columns you have. When you're done writing, you can always do a preview to check if it's correct. Then at destination level as well, I have this Lake House, Winnipeg Lake House. Okay, I don't have a table at destination level, so I'm going to enter manually and call this. I'll put everything in the same schema, test schema, and I'll call this sales. Overwrite. Yeah, that's all. That's all I need here. Now come here to my orders table, adventure work. Okay, this will still be loading. Come to my customer table setting. Nice customer table like this. Customer table, workspace, connection, browser. Most likely be an internet issue. Oh, okay. This is a copy job, not a copy data. So I'll just delete this. So copy data activity. This was supposed to be customer, right? Copy underscore customer. Yep. And come here. Have what I have. Okay. So this is okay now. Copy orders. So my orders here. My destination. Winnipeg Lake House. Okay, I need to enter this manually. Enter manually, test, overwrite, and orders. Yes, it's an S. And let's confirm if the orders was an S or not. Is there any question so far? We're almost done with this. Should be out of here shortly.
For me, I'm good. So
All right,
I
thank
think that
you.
I understood that you're putting the source, which is where your
Yes.
transaction data is in Snowflake.
Yes.
So if my transaction data is in SQL Server, I could also use that depending on the
Yes.
source. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. So you perfectly understand that. So customer. Test and customer. All right. All right. So that's that about that. Again, I'm running this in parallel because neither of the table is dependent on each other. So I'll just take this to this. This means on success. Let me take this back a bit. Check to the parameter first. Start the parameter. Run this as well. So come here, click this and this. So I have this in, yeah. So I have this in parallel. Now I will just run this and see what I have. So this should, let's just check again. So double check for each of them. Varied orders. Okay. Product, perfect. So I would run this first, save and run. Let me be sure this data gets to. So when you're building a pipeline, please try to do I don't know, a unit test basically. So can you see what we have? Pipeline run, telling us the parameters we have. Oh, yes, okay, this is it. So it starts running. So the first thing it does is to check with you with the parameters before it starts running. So I'm not having to change all of this for each of the copy activity. So my parameter does everything for all the copy activity I have. I don't know if that makes sense. So it does for all the copy activity. I'm not having to type this manually from anywhere. I'm not having to do it for each of the copy activity. Everything is just as is. Almost done.
So, but sorry, I want to ask you a question, please. But if you were
Yes.
to do it manually, where are you going to put the parameters and the variable? If you were to do it manually for each of the copy activity.
In the same way you had to do it, putting it in a variable. For each of them, you put in a parameter.
Okay, okay.
But this one now, you're having to you're putting in a parameter, then you're giving it a variable name, then set a variable. You can see we did a parameter first variable, then we had to now create this set variable.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
Almost done. So once we're done here, I'll go to the workspace and he succeeded. We sent this to a lake house, right? So open our workspace, Winnipeg user group, open our lake house to see what we have. So I'll refresh this. Let me refresh this. We should have two schemas because I created a new schema, test schema. Can you see we have everything we need here?
Yes.
You understand? So we have the next thing is to do a transformation, right? So we're transforming Winnipeg notebook. Don't forget we linked our lake house to this notebook because we already know that we'll be picking from our lake house. So I'll come down here, tables, tests, exactly. I'm going to have this here. So for time factor, I already had the notebook. So the notebook, yeah, what I'll have in my notebook, I already had it kept separately. So I'll just copy what I have there. Please don't forget that your transformation will be based on what you need. Your transformation will be based on what you actually need. So for this, I won't be doing so much transformation, basically just trimming if there is any, the column names, trim upper, if there's any white space, any trailing white space. That's what I just did here for almost everything. Just to tell you that this actually works, right? Do a transformation here. If you want to rename a column, you want to check anything you want to check, just do your thing. And I'm saving back to my lake house with a different name. You can see I'm having dimension underscore customer silver, because this is a silver layer. For my customer table, I'll get this. For my customer table, I'll get product silver as well. Or, you know what, let me change this to... Okay, there's no time. There's no time. So I'll just run all. I would see the results now. Your transformation is based on what you need it to do. For the sake of this demo, I'm trying to just do a transformation so we see that, oh, and do a transformation, and the result of your transformation can also state where you want it to be. So I'm saving mine as a table here. After which I'll go to my warehouse and I'll pick for my silver layer. So the initial load we did was our bronze layer. Your transform data, where you're sending your transform data to, is your silver layer. Then your warehouse is your gold layer. That's where you connect your report to.
So Blessing, for the silver layer, where does it sit? Does it sit on the lake house?
Yes, I sent it back to the lake house.
Okay, you send it back, but with a different name.
Yes. So this is
Then,
where we have it.
okay,
Again, you can see that I'm also transforming, dropping any duplicate customer key. So the duplicate value that came in from our source, we'll drop it, save as table. So this is the mode.
okay.
Delta override, save as table. Can you see this line here? This is where I save as a table to this, save as a table as that.
So
Let me see.
basically, this transformation is removing duplicate, removing blanks, nulls,
That's
right?
what I wrote here. Yes. But
Okay.
based on your business decision, anything you
Rules,
want to
yeah,
do.
business rules.
Exactly. So
Okay.
now this has it has completed, and it's telling me silver layer complete. Well, based
Okay.
on my write-up, what I wanted to return. So I'll come here, I'll refresh this because I still sent this back here. So I'll refresh it.
Mhm.
So you can see I have
So,
it dimension customer silver, dimension product silver, staging
okay.
orders silver, and
Silver,
fact sales silver.
silver.
Do you
Okay.
understand? So now our
Yeah.
transform data has been sent back to the lake house. The third thing is to do what?
Sorry,
From our
Blessing. I want
warehouse.
to ask a question before we move forward. Please, sorry.
Yes, please.
So let's say, for instance, I want to create a subfolder in this particular test, right? And I want my silver layer to be in a different folder. How would I indicate that in my transformation? Can I be able to do that? That you should just send the silver layer into that particular subfolder.
This is not a folder. This is a table. You can't have a folder within the table. So if it were to be
Okay.
a file, you could have done a new subfolder on that file. So you can have
Okay.
subfolders on that file. But what you can do is you can put it in a different
Schema.
schema. Thank
Schema.
you, in a different schema.
Okay.
So as
Yeah.
opposed
Okay.
to me to putting it as test. Okay, let me do something. I'll make this DBO. Let me replace all tests with
Yes.
DBO.
That's it.
You
You
can see
solved it.
that. Thank you. You can see that there is nothing under my DBO currently. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to change all tests to DBO. DBO. I'll change this as well to DBO. DBO. And I'll change the last one to DBO. DBO. Then I would run all again. Understand? So let's quickly come up and you would see. So you cannot create a folder within a schema, please. It's because it's at a table level. So if it were to be a file based, you can create subfolder. You can see you're creating a new subfolder, all of that. But for a table, we can't do that.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Welcome. So this is almost done. Customers has been processed, products has been processed, sales has been processed. I think we need one more. I think orders. Thank you. Now I'll refresh the DBO and we should have this under. Can you see under your DBO schema?
Yes. Yes.
So you can actually create a new schema. And maybe even create a schema, name it silver, and put everything under there. Depends on your arrangements. All that answers everything. Now, my warehouse. Now, because I don't want to move or copy the physical data I have in my lake house to my warehouse, I'll be creating a view of what I have here. So a view is more like a mirror of what you have. It is not taking up storage, right? So what I'll be doing here is I'll be creating a view of all my silver layers. So I have what I have in my silver layer here, and I connect my reports to my warehouse. Because for analytics, being in a warehouse is better. A warehouse is optimized for analytics. Last week, when I explained the difference between a lake house, a warehouse, I mentioned all of this detail for us, right? So it's better you connect your reports to a warehouse, which is what I'll be doing. But also for cost sake, again, architectural decisions, don't just do things loosely. I will be creating a view. Do you understand? I'll be creating a view here. So I think I have the view written already. I don't have time to start doing all of this. Okay. One thing I'm forgetting, sorry, is this. We're done. You can see this script actually works, right? You can see your notebook work. Now I want to add the notebook to our pipeline. Don't forget the pipeline. We don't want to be running our notebook manually. So I'll come to our activities. I'll come here and bring in a notebook. Then I would come here. I'll name this. Let me just name this Winnipeg transformation. Right? I'll come to my settings. I don't need this. Then what's my workspace? Winnipeg user group, notebook, Winnipeg notebook. So that way I'm connecting this notebook to this. Yep, and I have this way. Now I'll connect all of this. You can see this is what's on success. Connect everything here. Once it's successful, the next thing is what? Notebook for transformation. I don't know if I get this is really simple. I hope we are getting everything. We are getting the hang of it, and it's not clustered in your memory. So the first thing we did was what? Check the notebook first. Ensure that it works. So don't just add anything to your already existing pipeline. So I've tested it out, it works. Now I'm adding it here. So it knows after it pulls in data, the next thing you should do is what? Go to the notebook and do a transformation, which gives you what? Your silver layer. Does that work? So all I've had to do was just connect this here, and I'll come back to my warehouse. Yeah, so my warehouse, I'll just open my query and I would run this. So basically I want to create a view from, now I'm going to change this test to DBO. We use DBO already, right? And don't forget that it is the DBO I attached to my pipeline.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the DBO I've attached to my pipeline because I did not change it after I changed it to DBO. So I'll just change all of this to DBO. So this is what I have. So let me do something. Let me run, where is my, so I'll just run everything individually. I'm creating dimension customer silver from Winnipeg Lake House, DBO, customer this. So this is a view, not a table. So create view this as this. So I'll run this. It is successful. I'll run this as well. The second one, which is for our product table. I think that's successful as well. I'll run the third one. This is successful. And I'll run the fourth one. This is successful as well. So all I just need to do, I'll come under my schema. Now my schema. sit under views? So who can tell me why this is under my DBO schema? So for time's sake, you'll notice that I did not state what schema my view should be created under. So it just goes directly to
the DBO is your default schema.
Thank you. So it goes, this is what happens when you don't create or when you don't state an obvious schema. It goes to the default. I wanted this to be in a different schema. I'll just state that here, and it would all of that will take shape or take form. So it went to, and again, it's not a table, it is what? A view. Right? So that's why it's not under tables, it's under what? View. And this is what I have. Now, this brings me to the end of what, let me come back to my Escali drawer. Yes. I don't know if Benga is on this cloud. I've asked him to help me connect this to his Power BI desktop. I currently use a Mac. So if you run this on your laptop and it's a Windows, you can just connect this, can connect your warehouse to your Power BI report and build your dashboard. Then enable 6 a.m. refresh on your dashboard and you're really good to go. So I hope, I exceeded 1 hour by a minute. I needed this to not pass 1 hour. But I hope this gives us, you can check this. So let me run what we have so you see the results. So I want to do a count from here. So you can check, do I have the same row count? So if I come back to my notebook, customer is what? 17416 customer. At the view level too is what? 17416. So result 2, 130. This is what? 56064. The fourth one is the same number. You can come to your notebook and check. You can see they are the same count. Right? So this is just running from here to see if what you have in your view is okay. Yes, so this brings us to the end of introduction to Microsoft Fabric basics, pipeline, and architectural decisions. So please, I hope after this class, you attended last week class and this week class, you're able to make sense of every single thing we've covered. You're able to understand that for everything you need to do as a data professional, there is a reason behind everything. Always question your choices and do not just build for building's sake. Build with decision and intentionality. Save yourself, your company, a lot of headache and cost with each thing you make. For every decision you make, be very, very sure that, this has to be the right reason for this. And it is, one thing you should know is there is no almighty formula for this. There will always be a trade-off. You're either trading cost for efficiency, you're trading reliability for something. For example, now we are trading time. We're not getting our data or our analysis real time. So at that, what are we getting in return? Low cost as compared to maybe using mirroring. Do you understand? So all of these, they're always trade-offs, basically. You that you want your data every second, just know that you're going to have to pay the cost for it. So based on what your business needs to survive, do not over provision. For example, your business needs analysis just every morning. Why are you running CDC? Why are you mirroring and getting data every second? Right? So do not over provision. Architect strictly for your business decisions. I hope with all of this we are clear. Right? Please do ask questions if it's not clear. Right? Please do ask questions if it is not clear. Thank you all so much. If you need to connect with me on LinkedIn, Blessing Okeke on LinkedIn, and www.blessedokeke.com, my website. And yep, that brings us to the end of today's class. Thank you all so much. Hi, Green. I don't know if you're still on the call. We're done with today's session. Any question, anyone, please? In absence of no question, do enjoy the rest of your evening. And I hope it was worth your time. Bye, guys.
It honestly was. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Blessing.
Bye.
Bye.